All right, guys, so to recap in this video, I'm going to show you how to make your transmission run smoother. If you're getting any jerking, hesitation, or cold shifts that are really rough, this video will help you out. So pay attention, okay? Well, guys, I'm at my 2024 Ridgeline, and I'm going to use some of this. I'm not going to use all of it. I'm about half a bottle is all I'm going to put in, okay? I'm at about 6,600 miles, and this is how you take off the plug. Okay, so that's down there. It's draining in there right now. It's a slow drain because the it's pretty thick. And anyways, if you take this off, that's what it looks like. It's just plug right here, okay? And it uses a size 8, and it's size 8 S2 CRV Pittsburgh. Okay, so it's just a size 8. Seems to be working pretty good. I did this on my 2023 Ridgeline, and honestly, it worked pretty good. So that's why I'm doing it on my 2024. My 2023 was kind of my experimental vehicle, but my 2023 also shifted better than my 2024. So I'm going to see what's up with that. I don't know if it's because it was worn in better. I ended up with like 43,000 miles on my 2023 in about a year. So I'll give you guys an update and let you know how this thing's running. But yeah, just wanted to make a quick video there. And that's the Ridgeline. Give it one of those. There's a big topic that I want to talk about today, and that's transmissions. And especially the Honda Ridgeline, okay? The 6-speed has been known to have problems. You guys need to make sure that you guys are staying on top of the fluid changes. I don't know if you've seen the types of fluids that the 9-speed has or the 6-speed, but they're very thin, watery-like fluids. You got to shake up the fluid because it's so thin and mix it up. I've replaced my transmission fluid in my 2023 Ridgeline. When I had it, I did it right around 15 to 20,000 miles. There's a video on it as well. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was not impressed with the quality of the transmission fluid. So to make it run tip-top, there's a couple things I recommend, okay? I actually put in additional additives into the transmission fluid, and you know what? It makes the transmission so much more smoother shifting when it's cold, when and when it's warm. Like, it's just so much more smoother shifting, okay? And I poured a quart of the Lucas oil treatment in, not quite a quart, maybe half a quart in it. And after about 500 to 1,000 miles of driving, you start to notice it pretty quick that it's shifting a lot smoother, okay? Let's go inside the truck. Some cars, especially Toyotas, honestly, they make awesome transmissions, okay? The Honda transmission is gonna need more maintenance than the usual vehicles. All right, guys, you need to remember that and keep that in mind. Again, my interval for my driving habits, I am okay with going the first initial change for the transmission and the torque converter and the rear differential is going to be about 15,000 miles. And that's kind of to get out any of the metal shavings if there's anything in there after the break-in period. After that, 30,000 to 60,000 miles, depending on how you're driving, guys. If you're towing, then definitely every 30,000 miles. If you're not towing, you're doing highway driving like me, I am okay with pushing it to I'm pushing it to 40 to 50,000 miles for changing this fluid. And the reason why I would change it more often than, say, a Toyota is because the fluids that Honda uses are so thin and watery, okay? Now, over time and through experience and 30 plus years of maintaining all of my vehicles, I have noticed that oils are getting thinner and thinner and thinner. That goes with engine oil and manufacturer's recommendations and whatnot. And I don't like that. It's all for EPA registration. It's all for EPA to increase your MPG in your vehicles. It's not to protect your engine any better, guys. It's really not. I've used always at least 5W30, 10W30, 1040 weight oils, and they all produce better results than the thin oil crap that these car manufacturers are pushing, okay? It will run, but it's not going to do a better job of reducing the wear in the engine. Project Farm did a oil analysis, thinner oil versus thicker oil, and they found that thicker oils do a better job of engine wear. Wow, that must be like enlightening. But I mean, come on, it's common sense, guys. So what I'm saying is make sure you guys take care of your engines, change the oil frequently enough. Don't let it ever go more than 60,000 miles between a transmission fluid change. In terms of engine oil changes, 5,000 miles seems to be the magic number. 10,000 miles is really pushing it, to be honest. I mean, I'd go 7,000 if I'm doing freeway driving. But yeah, 10,000 miles is really pushing it, especially because of the filters. The oil filters tend to warp after when you get close to 10,000 miles. Like, the paper inside the filters, they just kind of start not holding their shape. They start warping. So that's one thing I've noticed with some of my oil changes that I've gone up to 10,000 miles, and I try not to do 10,000 mile oil changes. Now, this truck in particular, you're going to be safe if you do every 5,000 miles for engine changes. If you do the transmissions in the 9-speed transmissions, there's less problems. I would still recommend about 50,000 mile interval changes. Obviously, if you're towing, I would go 30,000 miles. And if you're just doing light, easy driving, freeway, like all the time, you could push it 60,000 miles. Driving habits do matter. And yes, the maintenance minder, I think, takes that into consideration. But a lot of times, guys, these manufacturers, they just, I don't know. I don't like a lot of their recommendations. I mean, I had a BMW X5. It was a 2012, and they would say, hey, you don't need an oil change until 15,000 miles later. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do something that crazy. It's like they just don't want to service the vehicle, or they don't care if the engine fails or if the transmission fails. And that's for us to make sure that we don't get blindsided. And especially this talk of lifetime transmission fluid, guys, that's absolute nonsense. Like, yeah, if you want your transmission to last maybe 100,000 miles, then never change your transmission fluid. That's all it's going to last. But if you want your transmission to run smooth and not break down, then yes, do drain and fills. I am against flushes, but I am for drain and fill. Okay, you'll get out a pretty decent amount of the fluids with a drain and fill. And if you're doing it every 50 to, 60,000 miles, you're going to be fine. My Prius Prime, I did 90,000 miles, but again, a lot of that is electric mileage as well. So you have to take that into consideration. There's all sorts of considerations. And honestly, the fluid in my Prius Prime was still looks great. But I still did it at 90,000 miles. And then I did it again at 180,000 miles. So, that ran on electricity as well as hybrid. So that's kind of a different situation, and that's why I was okay to push it. Spark plugs, okay? It's important that we do our spark plugs on a regular basis, all right? Roughly, it's 100,000, 110,000 miles is what they recommend on the Honda Ridgeline. I'm probably okay with it if you're not towing it. If you're driving it rough like a race truck, I might do it maybe every 70 to 80,000 miles, no harm in that. There's no harm in doing that. The only thing that I recommend is you buy the parts, especially spark plugs, directly from a dealership, because there are so many counterfeits out there on eBay and Amazon. I would not trust it with my life. For spark plugs, for OEM belts, things like that are just really important, and you don't want to do the work twice. Okay. So the parts, I would try to get original OEM from the dealership, because you know what you're getting. That's also important. What else to keep your vehicles running properly? The torque converter. Okay, let's talk about that. All right, first change at 15,000, and then after that, every probably 30 to 60,000 would be fine for the torque converter. Now, if you've got the older Ridgelines, they've had problems with torque converters and transmissions, so I would actually do those at least every 30,000 miles religiously, okay, on the 2017, 2018, and 2019 Ridgelines. So avoid problems. You can avoid so many problems if all we did was maintain our vehicles, and a lot of us don't do a good job of that. Don't get duped into thinking that your oil is going to last a lifetime. It never will. What else? Let's see. So the differential, the rear differential is important, because this is all-wheel drive, okay? And an all-wheel drive Honda Ridgeline, you're constantly spinning all the four wheels. You need to make sure it has good lubrication. I am okay between 30 to 60,000 miles, for the differential. I'm okay with the OEM fluids, and I recommend OEM fluids for the transmission, but I do add some Lucas some Lucas transmission fix lubricants, okay, additives. And I'm going to put that in the description, so pay attention to that. My vehicle was running pretty good, but in the mornings and cold startups and whatnot, you know, you get some harder shifting and whatnot. So I did put some of that Lucas transmission oil in, and it just smooths everything out like butter. Okay, guys, it's just so much better. I am all about not only, you know, preserving the life of the vehicles or the trucks, but actually optimizing it so it drives the best. My buddy was in my truck here last night, actually, and he goes, wow, man, your truck is smooth. I was like, yeah, thanks. It's because I put in that Lucas oil treatment. You guys don't have to do that. If you're happy with how your transmission's shifting, don't do anything except use the OEM fluids, you know. But like if you're not happy and you're getting hard shifting in some of your gears, then it's not going to hurt to try, especially if you just do like half a quart, you know. That's what I did. All I did was I went inside the engine and opened it up, poured in half a quart of that Lucas oil stuff, and it just makes it shift so much better. What else? Let's see here. The coolant, yes, make sure you're doing the coolant at least every 100,000 miles. I mean, I wouldn't push the coolant much more than that, to be honest. It kind of depends on the age of the vehicle as well and how many miles you're putting on a year. But generally, as a general rule of thumb, I would say coolant, you know, every 80 to 100,000 miles would be just fine. What else? Anything else? Well, let's see. Gosh, the tires are fine. Just make sure you keep them at least 35 PSI cold. When they warm up, they'll probably get closer to 38, 39 PSI on the tires. Oh man, I still love my truck, guys. It's like, it drives like a smooth machine. And my 2023, I drove that. I had a 2023 Ridgeline, and I drove that up to 43,000 miles before I traded it in for my 2024. And my 2023 it drove so smooth. There's so many things I like about the 23 over the 24. One of them was I loved the front grille on the 23 Black Edition, and I like the rims better on my 2023. I actually have some extra 2023 rims I might throw on this truck later, but guys, that's what you got to do to keep your trucks running, okay? Just don't neglect the oil changes, the critical fluids, and it's so easy to do. I've done all these myself on this vehicle, and all you need is some basic tools. I'll put some in the description, some links to some basic tools. Even the Harbor Freight tools are just fine, and I've used Harbor Freight for several of my sockets and wrenches and things like that, and it works just fine. You don't have to spend a fortune to fix it yourself. But in this day and age, and how ridiculous everything is costing, if to pay someone to do it when it's so easy to do yourself, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess if you've got money to burn, go for it. But I just don't even trust some of these mechanics, you know. Some of them are just not trustworthy, you know. And I've had some bad mechanics where they say they did work. Like, for example, I had a BMW it was a BMW 3 Series, and I needed some oxygen sensors. And he told the guy that fixed my vehicle owned a BMW specialist shop, and he was actually my neighbor. And he freaking ripped me off. So essentially what happened was, he says he replaced 2 of my oxygen sensors because I had a check engine light. And months later, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months later down the road, the check engine light comes again for oxygen sensors, and he didn't change the other 2, right? So that pissed me off, you know, and it's just hard to trust people nowadays on who to fix your car. You got to make sure you find someone that does a good job. Again, I do about, I'd say, 90% of my repairs with all of my vehicles that I maintain. And guys, I go through a lot of vehicles. I mean, I think I've had at least 50 vehicles in my lifetime personally, but I've maintained more than that, different types. And all of them have their challenges. You know, some are more reliable than others. I love Toyotas. Hondas are good too, but I've had some issues with some of the Hondas. They don't quite age as well as Toyotas, but if you're doing the oil maintenance and everything, then I think it will. BMWs, I love my BMWs too. And one of the highest maintenance vehicles I've had is my wife's Subaru Forester, you know? So, hey, you know, what do you do? But anyways, hope this helps you, and I'm done with the rant. Give it a thumbs up. I hope your Ridgelines last forever and your transmission shifting goes smooth. So let me know how it goes. Put it in the comments on how it's driving if you ever decide to add any transmission oil additives. Okay, over and out.